This is West Virginia Morning. I'm Teresa Wills. A successful writer shares her complex feelings about Appalachia.
Appalachia was all I knew for the first 20 years of my life. I transferred to Harvard when I was 20 years old as a sophomore. I came home and things felt different.
That story and more coming up this West Virginia Morning. Support for West Virginia Morning is provided by Hope Gas, committed to the growth and development of West Virginia to strengthen the community. Information at wvisforhope.com. Once a candidate has been placed on the ballot for the general election, there are only certain reasons they can be removed. As Chris Schultz reports, state election officials have been asked to try.
The State Election Commission will meet next Friday, August 7th, to consider two written requests to disqualify David Elliott Pritt from the 2026 general election ballot. The now former delegate from Fayette County and public school teacher was arrested and charged last week for enticing a minor. Pritt formally resigned from the House of Delegates Monday. He won the Republican primary for House District 50 in May. If formally removed, the Republican Executive Committee of the district will have until August 17th to propose a replacement on the ballot. If not, there will be no Republican candidate for that House seat. In a press release, Secretary of State Chris Warner emphasized that while a felony conviction is considered a disqualifying factor for a candidate, being accused or charged with a felony is not. For West Virginia Public Broadcasting, I'm Chris Schultz in Morgantown.
The West Virginia Department of Health has confirmed the state's first case of measles in more than 2 years. Maria Young reports.
An unvaccinated Barber County man is the first confirmed measles case in West Virginia since April 2024. More than 2,300 cases have been reported nationwide, but until now, none of those was in West Virginia, which has one of the nation's highest child vaccination rates. Barber County Health Officer Dr. Jeffrey Madden said health officials are working to contain the spread of the disease.
We have been out in the community checking the populations that appear to be more at risk and doing additional vaccinations. If you think about the people around that person who has the measles, if they are not immune, 90% of those people are going to get measles.
Symptoms include a high fever, small white spots inside the mouth, and a red rash that comes 3 to 5 days later. For West Virginia Public Broadcasting, I'm Maria Young in Charleston.
West Virginia's overall unemployment rate is tied with the national average at 4.2% in some counties. In the state, in some counties in the state are much higher or lower. Eric Douglas has more.
In June, all but one of the state's 55 counties saw an increase in the unemployment rate, even though 14 counties were at or below the state average. The only county with a decrease was Pocahontas County, where the rate fell by almost 2 points to 4.2%. Unemployment in Pendleton, Doddridge, Jefferson, and Morgan counties was below 3.5%. 3 counties recorded an unemployment rate at or above 7%. They are Clay, Mingo, and McDowell counties. Mingo County saw the largest increase, ticking up more than 1.5 points to 8.5%. McDowell County continues to report over 10% unemployment. Unemployment rates are determined based on the number of people seeking work. Those who have dropped out of the job market are not counted. For West Virginia Public Broadcasting, this is Eric Douglas in Charleston.
This is West Virginia Morning. I'm Teresa Wills. It's 7:53. Patchy fog this morning, becoming mostly sunny today. Highs in the 80s. Mostly cloudy tonight with lows in the 60s. Cloudy tomorrow, a slight chance of rain and thunderstorms in the south with highs in the 80s. Writer Emilee Hackney has a complicated relationship with where she grew up. She loved her friends, family, the swimming holes and wild places of Tazewell County, Virginia. But she felt stifled. Her new memoir, All That's Unseen, an Appalachian memoir, explores this tension and what happened when she did leave.
All That's Unseen is about a lot of things, but in a lot of ways, it seems to be about your relationship with your home community in Tazewell County, Virginia. I'd love to hear your thoughts on your relationship with Appalachia and how it's changed over the years.
Appalachia was all I knew for the first 20 years of my life. I mean, that's where I lived. That's where I grew up. And then I ended up moving away to Harvard. I transferred to Harvard when I was 20 years old as a sophomore. And that winter, I came home for break. And it's kind of like the saying, you never step into the same river twice. I came home and things felt different. I had this sense of unbelonging that just kind of grew stronger and stronger as I returned to Harvard and then came back home and kind of bounced back and forth between the two. When I came home that summer for break, I was back in Tazewell for 3 months. I got a job at WVDOH, which is a news station. And even though I was really involved in the community again, I felt very much an outsider because people started to think strange things of me because I'd gone to Harvard and come back. I had a dentist appointment. My dentist was like, you don't talk like that when you're up at Harvard. He was just kind of blown away that I still had my same accent, even though it was the accent I've always had. So it seemed like people thought that Harvard would have changed me in a really drastic way in just the few months that I'd been attending. And then, I would go back up to Harvard and I'd be really homesick, but then I'd come back home and just feel like I didn't belong. And so I felt like I was caught in this middle ground for a long while, and maybe still am.
Would you mind reading something from the book?
Sure. I'd stumbled and tripped so many times that I was already soaked anyway, so I swam along fully clothed. Jeremy tossed his shirt on the bank and followed me. We floated and splashed and laughed and shouted, all alone in the middle of the river, in the middle of the woods, until our arms and legs were wobbly and we climbed up on the bank to dry. The sun moved in a hot, lazy arc across the sky. I wish you didn't have to go, Jeremy said. He put his arms behind his head, tattoos on full display. I rolled over and drank them in. In that magic moment, I wondered how I could trade something like this for the unknowns of city life. I wondered if Jeremy would be okay when I was gone. My heart pulsed with tenderness and worry while he stretched out in the sun with closed eyes and a dimpled smile. It was the first time in months he hadn't smelled like weed or liquor. But he was broke, homeless, and now jobless to boot. It suddenly felt wrong, disloyal, to leave him and everything else behind. In my Appalachia, loyalty is synonymous with respect. You're raised to revere the mountains and their people, your people. The sense of community is so strong because the world beyond, you hear, is strange and cold and unforgiving. And you know this must be true because that's where the politicians are, the coal barons, the rich and powerful who look down on Appalachia and care about it only as far as they can take advantage of it. There are many reasons people don't leave Appalachia, but this narrative of trepidation is a major one. When you belong to such a rooted and close-knit community, leaving for something far away and unknown almost makes you a traitor, like saying, you're not good enough for me, to the people and places that raised you. That sentiment was part of the reason I'd stuck with Sam so long, and with my churches, and with God. Why until recently I'd never considered leaving. Why I felt as if I owed it to Jeremy to stay. Loyalty makes for committed, unbreakable bonds. It can also foster fear and discourage change. And I couldn't stay just for Jeremy's sake, or for tradition's sake, or because staying was the easiest thing to do. Before, I'd feared a life beyond the familiar. Now I feared never knowing anything else.
That was author Emilee Hackney speaking with Mason Adams. To hear the rest of that interview and more, listen to Inside Appalachia Sunday mornings at 7 and Sunday evenings at 6 on West Virginia Public Broadcasting. West Virginia Morning is a production of West Virginia Public Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Maria Young is our producer. I'm Teresa Wills.